seriously. And I'm live. Hi! I misplaced the card. Here it is. Found it. It's behind me. Okay. So, sorry yesterday I wasn't able to go live. We had a lot of people and a lot of things going on here at the shop, but our ladies that are doing our open studio have agreed to be very quiet so that I can get this live done. So we are doing this cute little card using the Gina K Master Layouts 1, 4, and 5. We're also using from the Summer Silhouette stamp set these palm trees. And then this is that cute little Adirondack chair that came with the umbrella in the die set. It is at the beach. It's the die set at the beach. So see that cute little Adirondack chair, and then you get this umbrella as well. So that's a really cool die that you want to have in your stash. All right, so we're going to make this card, and what's so special about this card is that it is only done on half of the card. So I'm going to show you how to put this together. All right, so first of all, you're going to need some cardstock, and that would be white that's 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And I've got that already cut here for us. So I've got the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then you're going to need an 8 1/2 by 2 1/2. Then you're going to need 2 more 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. One of them we're going to do some ink blending on. The other one just gets die cut. And the one that we ink blend on, we're going to stamp, then die cut. And then you need a little white scrap here big enough for us to be able to cut out this oval. But we're going to ink blend and stamp this as well. Then we need 2 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 black pieces of cardstock. These are just going to be die cut. We're going to be using from Master Layouts 4 the scalloped frame here, the scalloped rectangle. And then you need a smaller piece of black cardstock, and that's so that we can die cut out this oval rectangle from Master Layouts 1. And then I've got this kind of teal paper here. This is what we're going to die cut the Adirondack chairs out with. All right, so the very first thing that we're going to do is take this piece that's 2 1/2 by 8 1/2, and we're going to fold this in half. All right, now you can score it at 4 1/4 on the 8 1/2 inch side, but folding it half is just as easy. And then we're going to take one of the pieces of white cardstock that measures 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and we're going to glue this to the left-hand side. So we're just going to put some glue on the back here and glue that down to the left-hand side of the card. Okay. And of course we're using reptile glue. We always use reptile glue here at the shop. It's my very favorite glue. All right, so we've got this glue down here, and that's the base of your card. So we're just going to set this aside so we don't mistakenly ink blend on it or die cut it or do anything else to it. All right, and I've got some little tiny seashells here. We're going to do some decorating with that. But for right now, we're going to get the ink blending done. So I'm going to take my stamping wheel here, and I use the stamping wheel platform with my photopolymer mat that's in here, and I use that to do my ink blending. So we're going to use some craft ink. Over here, and we're going to circle, circle, circle. So you always want to load your brush in a circle and unload it in a circle. So, and the reason for that is the bristles on all of the brushes are rounded at the end. So when you're loading it in a circle, you're getting all of the ink over the entire circumference of each one of the bristles. So you're going to load it in a circle, and then you're going to offload it in a circle. So start off of your paper and move your way on. And I'm going to go about 1/3 of the way up on this piece of cardstock. And I'm just doing this with the craft to make it look a little bit like sand. All right, now that's done. Now I'm going to go over to my Gina K Blue Lagoon. We're going to use some Blue Lagoon to do the other 2/3 of the cardstock. All right, so we're just gonna circle, 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 load the brush in a circle, start off the paper, and slide our way over. All right, and we're gonna get that whole 2/3 done. Now, when I do this, especially when I'm making it kind of like a sky, I don't want it to be real dark, and I also don't want it to completely fill in. I like those white splotches in there so that it can kind of replicate the sky, the clouds and stuff in the sky. All right, so now that's finished. And now we're going to do the smaller one. And that one we're doing in Coral Reef. Let's get this up here on the, okay. Get our Coral Reef brush. Starting off the paper, and I'm going over, and I'm doing about half of this, all right? And the other half I'm going to do in the wild dandelion. Got my wild dandelion brush, loading it on the brush in a circle, starting off the paper, sliding over. And I'm doing that other half in the wild dandelion. All right, now that that is finished, I'm looking around. I don't see my tidy towel. Hold on one quick second. Anybody see my tidy towel? In the little square Tupperware? Oh, I found it. I found it. All right. So I'm going to use my tidy towel to wipe off the extra ink that I've got on the photopolymer sticky mat. Okay. And we're just going to let that dry a little bit. And then we're going to stamp it. Well, while we're letting that dry, what I'm going to do is die cut out the black pieces. So the first black piece that we're going to die cut out. Ooh. Better put the lid on my ink or else I'll have my hands all yellow. All right, so the first black piece we're going to cut out is the oval scalloped edge that we use out of Master Layouts 1. So I'm just going to get my intricate, slide it over here. I've actually got it on one of these little carts now because everybody loves using this machine. So this way it can kind of move around the room wherever it needs to go. Now don't forget, you want to put the gray on the bottom, then your paper, then your die, and then the thick white one. Okay, I've already got it set on die cut, and I'm just going to put it through the machine. Nice and easy, it cuts like butter. Pop that out, move that over there, and then we need 2 of the rectangles. So we're going to cut 2 of the rectangles out here. And because the rectangle is almost the size of my paper, I'm just going to use a little bit of the Post-it note tape. I love this Post-it note tape for die cutting because it doesn't rip your paper. I used to use washi tape, and for the most part washi tape works, but sometimes you get some that does do a little bit of extra pulling on your paper and gives it a little bit of a tear. All right, so let's get this first rectangle cut out. Rectangle number 1. I'm going to put that with my oval. And I'm going to reuse this Post-it note tape. You can use this about 8 or 9 times. I'll be more exact, 10 times. You can use it about 10 times. All right, so we're going to put that on the next piece of black cardstock, and we're going to run that through. And by that time, that photopolymer sticky mat should be pretty dry, and we can use it for stamping. I'm going to hold on to this piece of Post-it note tape because we're not done using the die cut. We've got plenty more to die cut today. All right, so we're finished with the scalloped frame, so I'm going to put this over here. Set the Gina K Intracut aside a little bit while we do our stamping. So we're going to take those 2 pieces of cardstock that we ink blended on, and we're going to put the beach. We're going to call this one the beach, the one with the sand at the bottom and the blue at the top. So it's kind of the water meets the sky, meets the sand piece of paper. So we're going to put that in the upper left-hand corner of our stamping wheel. And then we're going to take this smaller piece that's the coral reef and the wild dandelion, and we're going to put that in the lower right-hand corner. And then on the stamping wheel plate, you'll see I put the palm trees up here and a sentiment down here. So this way I can stamp it all at one time with this stamping wheel. So I'm going to use the Gina K Black Onyx ink, and I'm going to load that up on the palm trees, and I'm going to load it up here on the sentiment. Now I did just re-ink that pad, so I got a little bit on here, but I'm not going to worry about it because using the stamping wheel, it's not going to touch the paper at all. It's not going to touch that cardstock. I'm going to use my little rub-a-dub here, rub over my stamps, transfer my ink over to my cardstock. All right, now it's not quite dark enough for what I want, so I want to just get it a little bit darker, so I'm going to ink my trees up again and ink up my sentiment again. And I'm not worried about shadowing or anything because this photopolymer sticky mat holds the paper in place so it doesn't move around. So I know it's going to be in the exact same place it was the last time I stamped it. So I'm going to put my stamp back down here, rub over my sentiment and my trees. Oh, much better. Look at that. Nice crisp image. The words are nice and clear. You can read them perfectly. All right, so I'm going to take my Gina K. I keep my little Gina K tidy towels. I wash them out at least once a week, so that they don't start to smell. But I keep them in this little Rubbermaid container so that they are always nice and wet, so that when you're using them, it gets the ink off there really good. All right, so I'm going to wipe off my stamps, get the ink off there, and you can tell that these stamps have been well loved. This is one of my favorite sentiment stamps. This is one of the mini sets that have You Are My Sunshine, this one says You Are Such a Wonderful Person. And then also anything tropical in this shop gets used until you can't use it anymore. So these palm trees and this stamp set, you can see by the ink that's dyed them that they're well loved. All right, so now we're going to take these 2 pieces of cardstock off of our sticky mat. Love, love, love this. I use it for my ink blending. I use it for my stamping, everything. That's the stamping wheel by Altenew. All right, so now we're going to die cut these out. So I'm going to use the oval, the straight oval from Master Layouts 1, and I'm going to cut out our sentiment with that. And then I'm going to use from Master Layouts 5. Now this goes hand in hand with her Master Layouts 4 because this stitched square or rectangle fits right on top of this oval rectangle or scalloped rectangle. All right, so I'm going to use that to cut out this, and I'm also going to use it to cut out a blank one. All right, so we're going back over here to the Intracut. I really need to get these little black ditties off there from the cardstock, but it doesn't bother anything. All right, now this is where I'm going to use my Post-it note tape again. I'm just going to put that right there to keep that in place. I'm going to put my thicker white platform on top of my gray one. All right, see how that did? Oh, perfect. Look at Now, I have it set on die cut. Let me just turn the camera a little bit here for you. So it's set on die cut, and then I've only got it over one little notch, and the only reason I did that is for the scallop. Now that I'm doing this straight, I'm actually going to put it back on 0. This cuts perfectly on 0. You don't need so much pressure that you can barely move something. You just want it to move smoothly. All right, now just notice I had an open ink pad, almost stuck my hand in it. All right, so we've got our oval cut out. Now we're going to cut out our 2 pieces here with the rectangle. Now I want to make sure that I've got the bottom of my tree and the top of my tree in there. I don't care if the bottom gets cut off just a little bit, but I definitely want the top of the trees to stay in there. So I'm going to put my piece of tape right here. Got that all lined up the way that I want it. We just have that one last one to cut out. And this doesn't have to be any which way because it's just a plain one. Okay. We're still not done die cutting, but we're finished with our rectangles and our ovals. So I'm going to set those aside. Just going to set those aside. This is all finished. We still have to do our Adirondack chairs, but let's put this part of the card together first. All right, so what we're going to do is match up our rectangles with our rectangles and our oval with our oval, and we're going to glue them down. Again, we're using our reptile glue. Putting a little around the edge and a zigzag in the middle. And this fits right in on the scalloped rectangle. And we're going to do the same thing with the palm trees. Close there. Take that off. Fits right in there. Look how pretty that looks. I love that black scalloped background with those palm trees and that nice crisp black image. I love silhouette stamps. I think that's my favorite way to stamp. All right, we're going to put our oval sentiment right here on our scalloped oval that we cut out with Master Layouts 1. Okay. All right, now we're going to take our base. Let me turn the camera down just a little bit so you can see this better. So we're going to take our base, make sure that it's closed. We're going to take the palm trees and it's going to get centered right in the center of your white cardstock, okay? But we're only putting glue on the back of where the palm trees are because that's the only place that we want it touching the white card base, okay? So we're going to center that. Okay, that's centered. And then I'm going to take some pop dots and I'm going to pop the sentiment up. Now, the sentiment is going to hang over the edges of the black, but you don't want it hanging over the edges of the white because that's the base of your card. All right, so we're going to put some pop dots down on here. Okay, and just peel those backings off. Okay, and then I'm going to hold it up a little bit so that I can kind of feel where the edge of my white cardstock is and where the edge of this black oval is, because I don't want that black oval going over where the white is, all right? So we've got that on there. Now, we want to put this directly behind this one. Now the way that I like to do it is I lay it face down on top of the one that's on the front of the card. Because it's scalloped, you want to make sure all of those scallops line up. Now don't worry about these edges of the oval scalloped sentiment, because that's not going to affect it. All right, and then I'm going to put glue on the back of this rectangle, and then I'm going to take this part of the card base and I'm going to close it over top so that when I pick it up, it's directly behind the other one. See, you don't see it hanging out from underneath of the other one. And then when you open it, it mimics it, okay? All right, now all we have left to do is to cut out our Adirondack chair. So we've got the Adirondack chair here. All right, I'm gonna cut 2 of them out and put on here. See how this one looks. Get my little pokey tool so I can pop it out. This is a pretty intricate little die, and what I mean by that, not that it's got a lot of swirls or anything in it, but it's got a lot of little tiny attachments. Look at that chair, isn't that just adorable? All right, we're gonna cut 2 of them out. Let me stop talking and get cutting. All right, let's get that second one cut out. That's all of the die cutting we're going to do. So we're going to push that aside. Now let's get the little pokey tool. Get this one popped out. Now with your dies, all of these little holes in here, that's either to push out the extra pieces or to help you get that die, that paper out of the die. So when you cut your cardstock, sometimes it's going to stay stuck inside of the die. Don't stress about it. You just take a little pokey tool and poke it through those holes. Or some of the larger dies, you might want to drop down on your table, and that helps pop it out too. Bill thinks it's a little violent when I do it because I really lay it down there. I take all my frustrations out, but it works, so I'm good with that. All right, so let's get all these little extra pieces out. Now, instead of using our glue, because of all of these little holes and everything that's in here, we're going to use our We Are Memory Keepers sticky folio to put the glue down on our Adirondack chairs. So I don't know if you've used one of these, but they're great. So you've got a piece of wax paper here, and underneath that wax paper is a piece of paper that's got all little tiny glue dots on it. And all of the places that you sit your cardstock down on is going to lift up those glue dots that are on there. So I look and see, I've used this over and over. I love it for the Gina K curved florals, that outline that you cut out to put on top of a more solid piece. This is perfect. Instead of taking your glue and going all over it, this is perfect to get that down on there. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to lay it down. Got a little piece of the chair hanging on there. I'm just going to lay this down on where I see some dots. I'm going to put the wax paper down, and it comes with this little spatula tweezer combo ditty. All right, and you're going to use the spatula, rub it over top of the wax paper where you see the piece of cardstock that you want to pick up the dots. Then you're going to lift up the wax paper, take the tweezers, and pick up the cardstock that you've got the dots on, and be careful because usually you're doing something that's a little bit intricate. And remember I said this is intricate because it's got all these little tiny pieces that are holding it together. All right, so now, I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. See those little gray dots? That's all glue. So now what we're going to do is take this and put our Adirondack chair right here onto our card, press it down, and now it's glued down. Isn't that great? So much easier than taking the glue and putting little dots all over the place. All right, so we want to put 2 Adirondack chairs on there. So we're going to take our second Adirondack chair, and I'm going to find a place that's got some dots. There we go. Lay my wax paper over it. Take my little spatula ditty. Turn it around so I can use the tweezers now. Gently pull this up. It's got all the little dots on it. And that's the glue that we're going to use to put this down right here next to the other Adirondack chair. All right. Isn't that cute? All right. Last thing we're going to do, I've got these little shells, and I have had this little bottle of shells for probably 8 years, and it's getting to the bottom of it, but I bet it's going to last probably another 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to grab 3 of these little shells, and instead of putting gems on here, I'm going to put these little shells. So I'm going to put 2 on this side of the Adirondack chairs, and I'm going to put 1 over here on that side of the palm trees. And I'm just going to sit these shells right in the glue. All right, and we're finished. All right, so we've got our cute little beachy card, and the way that it's done, it's got a little bit of extra character, so you don't have it just as a regular A2 card. I wouldn't call it a pop-up card or anything, but it does come with a little bit of extra character. All right, well, I hope that I have inspired the creativity within you for you to get out your master layouts and play with them. They interact with one another wonderfully, and break out some of those old stamps that are silhouettes, and all you're doing is stamping with some black ink. You don't have to do a lot of coloring. You saw how quick this card went together, and I hope to see you back here soon. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.